The overall prevalence rates of poorly controlled anger is approximately 8% of the population in the United States. That means that at any given time, there are about 28 million people who are challenged by this condition. Not to mention the numerous people whose lives are negatively affected by the relationship with this individual. To help those you are working with anger-related challenges, I've put this video series together. This video you are currently viewing will give you an introduction into the anger management for substance abuse and mental health clients curriculum in 4 parts. But before I get started, I'd like to first give a special thank you to Doctors Patrick M. Riley and Michael S. Shropshire for this awesome healing approach for treating anger and aggression. These 2 experts are the big brainers behind this research-supported treatment approach for anger management. I'm just your humble presenter of this information. This intervention was developed for studies at the San Francisco Veterans Affairs Medical Center and San Francisco General Hospital. Recognition also needs to go to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, also known as SAMHSA, and the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment for supporting this type of needed services. Know that the content, anger management for substance abuse and mental health clients, is public domain and can be copied and or reproduced without permission from SAMHSA or CSAT. For your convenience, I'll attach a link below this presentation so that you can have a copy of the manual. In the manual, you'll find a great deal of information about this curriculum, and you'll surely find it useful. Feel free to share it with your clients and the clinicians you are supervising. Although the title of this curriculum is Anger Management for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Clients, you will find that the interventions taught in these 12 sessions can be equally effective for almost anyone challenged by anger, whether or not the individual you're working with has or does not have substance abuse or mental health challenges. This treatment approach is evidence-based. Meta-analysis studies have found that this type of anger management counseling is very effective. Reference material on this treatment approach's effectiveness, as well as the reference material that was used to develop this counseling approach, are contained in the manual. This treatment approach uses cognitive behavioral therapy. As you know, thinking, behavior, human physiology, and emotions are often multidirectional. Consequently, by you helping your clients make improvements in one area of their life will often result in benefits in other areas as well. The traditional group setting for this curriculum is 90 minutes. Individual sessions range from 40 to 50 minutes. I modified the traditional group format to an individual format initially to be in compliance with the CDC's recommendation for social distancing as an effort to reduce the chances of me and my clients from being exposed to COVID-19. It would make sense that an anger management curriculum designed by the VA would use a group format, given the large number of veterans who are challenged by this problem. Treating anger in an individual session would be really unfeasible. For some of those I work with, I found that individual sessions work well. It's not uncommon for me to have 1 or 2 individuals seek anger management counseling in 1 week, and then have another 1 or 2 people request that same service in the next 2 to 3 weeks. This type of open admission counseling milieu works well for me and those I work with. Intelligence, age, and factors that include mental health severity may influence your decision in treating your clients individually instead of in a group setting. For example, you may be working with someone who has a history of trauma and or victimization, and an individual session may be a better environment to help that person to learn assertiveness skills and to build his or her ego strength. Conversely, you may be working with someone with a significant history of aggression and impulsivity. This type of individual may initially be inappropriate for a group setting. Using individual telehealth format, a client can view these video presentations at their convenience prior to their sessions. They can also view the videos as often as they like to deepen their understanding of the lesson. I found that this type of video presentation viewing coupled with an individual telehealth session can be particularly useful working with individuals who live in rural communities where transportation and behavioral health facilities are limited or non-existent. For example, I work with a number of people who live in remote tribal communities throughout the state of New Mexico. In some of these communities, there is no public transportation, and for some, the closest behavioral health facility is an hour or more away from their home. How it works is that I assign the video as homework and then discuss the content of the video in a subsequent session. You can too. The 12 video sessions that accompany this Facilitator video presentation can be used in your in-person group, if it's safe to do so, also in your telehealth groups, or in your individual group sessions. The sessions where the group or individual will look something like this. In the first session, start with an introduction of yourself, then go around the room and have the group members introduce themselves. Then discuss group/individual expectations. Talk about confidentiality. Stress the importance of arriving to the setting, whether it's telehealth or in person, 5 to 10 minutes early to address possible technological challenges. Then briefly discuss the 12 sessions, the 12 video presentations, introduce the anger meter, and then end discussing the homework assignments that will be assigned from week to week. In sessions 2 through 11, start with the client or clients checking in. The check-in process involves the group member stating the most troublesome, anger-provoking event they experienced over the past week. They are to identify the highest number they attained using the anger meter. This is a copy of the anger meter that I use. Notice the escalation process from no anger to extremely angry episodes. In session 2, the client will learn about the 4 anger cues. Starting in session 3 and throughout the remaining sessions, the client check-in process will involve identifying the highest number they attained on the anger meter since the last session and discuss the 4 cues that accompany their anger. After the check-in, discuss the video presentation lesson 2 through 11 with what may be helpful for them and what thoughts he or she has over the material presented, including alternative views. During the session, the facilitator may have to mention a few key words to trigger the participant's memory of the video presentation they saw. Lastly, close the session with a reminder of the homework assignment. In individual sessions, sometimes group members will say, "I didn't have any anger over the past week." Be prepared for that by having some stories of your own. After sharing your own experience of anger a few times, the client or clients will see that they won't be punished for discussing episodes of anger that they experienced. In a group setting, you'll usually get 2 to 4 individuals sharing their anger-provoking situation over the past week. So having a situation to discuss in a group format usually isn't a factor. In the group setting, remind participants to be selective of what they may share in the group. The group members should not share about something that they did not want some people to know about. Let those you're working with know to feel free to request that you present on other topics related to anger, of course, as time permits. It's advisable that the group facilitator view the 12 videos and go through the manual prior to facilitating the sessions. Use the Anger Management for Substance Abuse and Mental Illness manual and videos for your convenience. Depending on your training and experience, you may or may not require supervision. As an experienced counselor/psychotherapist, you're likely to be familiar with most of these interventions presented. But despite this, you may find that the manual is useful, keeping you on track in terms of sequencing and as a reminder of what you'll be covering in each session. I find that clients do not have a problem with me referring to my notes or the manual during the session. Here is the anger meter I use. This is the anger meter enclosed in the manual. Use the one you prefer or create your own. I modified the anger meter because I wanted the client to be able to see how anger can escalate, and I wanted to help the client to identify behaviors that are associated with specific numerical value. Usually by the middle of the course, clients can identify the difference between a low score on the anger meter and a high score. And they will usually be able to identify mild cues versus more problematic cues. I also mentioned to the group member that traditionally the anger meter's ceiling is a 10. However, as you notice, I added an 11 for the way over the top angry behaviors that I'm seeing nowadays. Like someone so angry that they shoot up a movie theater or they run their car into a group of people. Feel free to discuss these types of behaviors at your discretion. I hope you found this facilitator presentation useful. The more you go over the manual, view the videos, and facilitate the sessions, the more likely that you'll put your own personal stamp on the material presented, and the more you will find out what your clients are most interested in. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at the email address below. Thank you for all you do. Take care and be safe.